how individualistic the society here is. I'm sure you've heard about Dutch directness. They'll take a slice of bread, untoast it, slap some cheese on it, and eat it. Like that's lunch. I'm used to bad weather, so I will be fine. I was not fine. Bring strong vitamin D from your home because you will need it. Dutch are very thrifty and money conscious. Once you start yelling at tourists from your bicycle, you know you've integrated. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. As you can see from the title, today I'm going to talk about the top 10 things I wish I knew before I moved to the Netherlands. I moved to the Netherlands in 2019 from India, and I can tell you that India and Netherlands couldn't be more opposite in its culture and the way things work. So when I arrived here, I had to really navigate a lot of things and find out a lot of culture shocks and really get used to the way things work here. So if you're planning to move from another country to the Netherlands, maybe this video will be helpful for when you arrive and you have no idea what is going on. And hopefully this video can be a bit of a guide into what you need to know before you move to the Netherlands, so you're a bit more prepared and you know what you're getting yourself into. And of course, this is all my perspective as an Indian moving here, and maybe if you're from Europe, this is already a bit similar for you. I'm gonna start with the topmost things that were like the biggest culture shocks or the biggest differences from where I am from. And the first thing is definitely how individualistic the society here is in the Netherlands. So where I come from in India, community is a big thing. Like I always say, like you could meet somebody in the supermarket today and they will be home for dinner tomorrow. Here it's a more individualistic mindset where, one takes care of themselves and, they look out for themselves. In India, it's a bit like we look out for each other. So that was the biggest culture shock and biggest difference that I had to adjust to after moving here. This is why I stress so much on the importance of building a community when you move here, because you will need it. I have a community of friends who are also a lot of internationals, but also some Dutch people. And we kind of look out for each other. We share opportunities with each other. And it is so important also for me to feel like at home a little bit, because when I first moved here, it was very scary and you feel a lot lonelier because everybody just is just minding their own business and doing their own thing, which I have to say in India people take it a step further where everybody is up in your business. And sometimes I love that everybody just minds their own business here and does whatever they feel like, which is also amazing. So there are pros to that, but I feel like a balance between India and the Netherlands would be like the perfect sort of setting. It's something I had to get used to because I'm sure you've heard about Dutch directness, and that is not a lie. The Dutch are very direct. There are different kinds of directness, I feel. One kind of directness which I love, which is people are not bullshitting you. They're not being fake to your face and friendly to your face and then never calling you back. So that's something I love about here. You just know instantly what you're going to get, what people are thinking. So I love the directness. And the kind of directness I don't like is the directness that is masked behind rudeness. Like if they'll give their opinion about something when you didn't even ask, and then they'll be like, oh, I'm just being direct. It's like, you can be direct in a nicer way. If I didn't ask you for your opinion, maybe don't give it. And what really, really drives me crazy is if you give your opinion as a non-white or foreigner person, they don't like it. The Dutch directness is something that takes time to get used to, but I really like the fact that you just get what you see and there is no like reading between the lines. It's really, really nice and it's very efficient, very true to the Dutch culture. Another thing related to this was people don't invite you home. The Dutch people I know, I've never seen their home, because I think here home is like their private space, their sanctuary. So if you do meet people, you meet outside in bars for dinners or something, whatever. And in India, it's the opposite. Like at home, everybody's invited. Like, oh, come over, I'll make you dinner. Or come over, we'll hang out. I feel like a lot of Dutch people are insecure about their cooking skills, and they don't want to invite people and then have to go through all the effort. So a very different culture in terms of how people are with each other and how they mingle with each other. The second biggest thing that I am still not used to, I think, is food. So I think food in the Netherlands is treated as fuel. It's something you need to function. And how can I get food in my body in the most efficient way? Enter broodje kaas. So that is the go-to preferred lunch here in the Netherlands. They'll take a slice of bread, untoast it, slap some cheese on it, and eat it. Like that's lunch. In my brain, that is a snack. I will not be a full. I will not be satisfied. I need way more food, preferably warm. So, food is one of the biggest things you'll have to adjust if you come from a country that is food is part of your culture. Because in India, that is just the default. Food is the center of almost everything we do. And if there is no good food, that's not acceptable. And that is not the case here. So that was very hard to get used to. And to tackle that, I actually learned how to cook Indian food. I never used to cook before moving here. And soon after moving here, I realized food is very important to me. I didn't realize that in India because food was just available to me all the time, like really good food. So after moving to the Netherlands, I realized how much of a foodie I am and how food is so important to me and how it's such an integral part of my day. Like a good meal can just make me so happy. Um, so during COVID, I actually learned how to cook. And over like the last 4 years, I've gotten really good at it by doing it a lot. So that was my way to tackle it because if you want to eat good food, it's available, but it's expensive. Eating out is very expensive here. And I would suggest if you're moving here and if you're a foodie, learn how to cook, bring stuff from your home country. I bring spices all from India because even the spices here taste different. They don't taste like actual spices. I think during COVID, there was like a whole investigation that a lot of the spice mixes here are 40% spice and 60% flowers. So Dutch food is very like mellow flavors, like very just like bland flavors. Now, one thing we're very lucky with in Amsterdam is there are a lot of international grocery stores. So there are a lot of Indian stores where I can get a lot of Indian ingredients. So I actually make a lot of Indian food just from grocery stores here. Some of the big grocery stores here, like Jumbo, Albert Heijn, also have some international ingredients, especially in bigger cities. So that's really handy. I have to say though, the Dutch do their snacks really well. So kibbeling, bitterballen, kaas soufflé, all are like excellent. And they do, I think, sweets really well. So poffertjes and pannenkoeken and stroopwafel, amazing. They're really good. It's just like the actual food part, it's not for me. So that's something I had to tackle. And I wish I had set my expectations a bit lower when moving here about the food here and already had prepared myself because it took me a while to come to terms with the fact that I will have to make food myself if I want to eat the food I like. The third big thing you will have to get used to is weather. So it rains a lot in the Netherlands. I was not prepared for how much it rains. And in the beginning, I would actually be like, oh, you guys complain about the weather all the time. It's not like the weather in India is that great. You know, it's super hot and humid, and I'm used to bad weather, so I will be fine. I was not fine because it's not just bad weather, it's unpredictable bad weather that is very hard to get used to. You could have 4 seasons in one day, have a 30-degree day today, and then the next day it's like 18 degrees again. It's the unpredictability of the weather that it fluctuates so fast and so often that I am still to this day, I'm not used to it. In India, it's like if it's warm, it's going to stay warm, and then you're going to have some rain, and then it's going to cool down again. You just know which months to prepare for, so you can mentally prepare yourself. But here, you cannot mentally prepare yourself because it will say it's going to be nice, but then the next day you find out it's going to rain all day. You never know what you're going to get, and you have to be very rain proof. That buy all your rainwear immediately as you get here. You need a summer rain jacket, a winter rain jacket, you need your paraplu umbrella, and you need waterproof shoes because it doesn't matter what time of the year it is, it's going to rain and you will be caught in rain. And if you're going to cycle here, you will need appropriate rain gear for you on your bicycle. I'm going to leave some of my favorite rain gear recommendations down below with the things that I use, but I get questions all the time like, hey, I want to visit Amsterdam in June, or I want to visit Amsterdam in November. Can you tell me what the weather will be like? And like, so I can pack accordingly. I'm like, I don't know. Last year April was amazing. This year April was absolutely shit. So you can never rely on the weather, and seasonal depression will be a thing. Bring really strong vitamin D from your home country, because the healthcare system here is something else. That's going to be my next point, but bring strong vitamin D from your home because you will need it. There will be weeks where you don't see the sun, especially January is the most depressing month. I feel the summertime in Amsterdam, like right now, makes up for it, because Netherlands in the summer it just hits different. It's so amazing. So the whole winter you're just waiting for these 2 months where everything is amazing. People are happy. You can go swimming, you can go supping, you can eat outside, like on terraces, drinking. There's so many activities happening in the summer outside. So it's the 2 months of like bonus you get for surviving the other like 10 months of absolutely shit weather. So this is a big thing here is the weather, and people will talk about it all the time and people will complain about it all the time. And the day you start complaining about the weather, you have integrated, my friend, and you've become Dutch. Congratulations. Now the fourth thing is healthcare. There is a running joke in the Netherlands, which is if you go to the doctors, they will give you paracetamol for most of your complaints. So basically, paracetamol cures everything according to healthcare here. How the healthcare here works is you have to sign up to a clinic near you and you will be assigned a GP, a house arts. If you have any complaints, if you want to get anything checked, you have to first go to your house arts and then they refer you to a specialist. So even if you want to go to a gynecologist, you first have to go to a house arts and they refer you to a gynecologist. You can't just directly go to the gynecologist. Getting a referral here is difficult. There are instances where friends have told me that the doctor was Googling their symptoms in front of them because they didn't know what was happening. There's cases where the doctor has said, come back in 2 weeks when it's actually painful, when it's actually something, then I will look into it. Like go home and take a paracetamol for now. So healthcare here, it's not free. You have to pay around 140 euros for the basic coverage. And in that, you basically get not a lot. And a lot of the medication here is very low dose and it's not available just in the pharmacy. Like you just get your regular paracetamol and your vitamins and stuff, like just for cold and cough, but anything else and anything stronger, you have to be prescribed. So I bring all my medication that I used to and I want all from India. So maybe this is something you want to keep in mind. Number 5 is DIY. The Dutch love to DIY and do everything themselves. Again, it's, I think, part of the individualistic society that I talked about, that you just do your own thing and never depend on anyone else. And I was shocked at the amount of DIY, especially in their home. Like the first home that we rented came without floors. And Dutch people were like, of course it comes without floors. What if you don't like the floor? You want to bring in your own floor. So people here rent a home, bring in their own floor, and when they leave the rented home, they take the floor with them, and will just put in the floor themselves. They know how to do it. They know a lot of stuff around the house, especially they're very handy with construction stuff. Like I had not even like drilled a hole in the wall to put up a frame in India because somebody else would do that. But here you do everything yourself, which I really love, because I have become very independent living here. Because getting somebody to do anything construction based for you is very expensive. So you try to do it yourself and it's not that difficult and you learn it once you have to actually do it. Also with your bicycle, almost every Dutch person I know knows their way around a bike, how to fix a flat tire, how to like put the chain back if the chain comes out. And something you should know, I guess, before coming here, that there are a lot of things you would do by yourself, because if you get people to do it for you, it's really expensive. I still take my bicycle to a bike shop. If there's a flat tire, it's fine. It's like 10 euros, so I don't mind. But I think the Dutch are very into saving money, which comes to my next point. The Dutch are very thrifty and money conscious. That is something I think Indians and Dutch have in common, because Indians can also be very thrifty and money conscious and very good with money. So in the Netherlands, supermarkets have these newspapers which have the discounts for the week. And you can see Dutch people getting the newspaper, marking all the discounts, and planning their meals for the week based on that. There's also a joke about like Dutch people cannot miss out on actions, which basically are offers. So, like, if there's 1 + 1 free, you have to get it. Like a lot of people just plan their things around these discounts. And the biggest example of this is my absolute favorite app, Tiki. So Tiki is an app where you can send a payment request to your friends or whoever, and this is what the Dutch use to split bills, or if I buy tickets for someone, I will send them a Tiki and they'll pay me back. So anything when you want to ask for money, and the Dutch can get very thrifty with this. This hasn't happened to me, but there's a joke that if you go out with friends and you eat a little bit of fries from somebody and a drink from somebody, they will send you a Tiki for those like few fries and a drink, like a Tiki for like 2 euros. That is something to keep in mind, is the Dutch can be very zuinig. The other thing you really need to know is the Dutch are not spontaneous. And if you live here, you will also fall into line and have an agenda. So an agenda is a calendar on your phone or wherever where you put in your appointments, and they are not just your professional appointments, they're also your personal appointments. So if you want to meet people here, you will have to make a plan at least 2 weeks in advance and put it in the calendar. And that's how you make plans to meet people here. In India, this is very different. You just call somebody up, hey, what are you doing? You want to go out for dinner tonight? Yeah, let's go and let's meet, and that's it. So it's very spontaneous and very not planned. And to be honest, I didn't like that back in India. I didn't like this very last minute sort of planning, but also I didn't like the fact that if I made plans with somebody, they might fall through, and I would have to check one day before the plan, hey, is this plan still on? Like, it was very always precarious. I love that plans are planned here, but I'm not really into having a packed agenda. And if I want to meet somebody, I have to wait 2-3 weeks to meet them. So how I tackle this is I plan things with people, especially if there are events, and if you want to go dinner at a particular restaurant, you might not get a reservation last minute. So these things you must plan. But then I always leave 1 or 2 days in a week empty for spontaneous plans. Yes, you have to also plan your spontaneous time. But that's the only way to survive here, because the Dutch love their agenda. And I've become one of them now. This is something you'll have to get used to, is like having an agenda and having plans for everything. The next point is learning Dutch. I came with the notion that everybody speaks English here, so you can take a bit of time to learn Dutch. I think it's very important to learn the language if you're planning to stay in the country for more than 1 or 2 years. I was definitely going to learn the language, but I thought I could take my time and take it slow, which you still can do. But if you want to feel integrated into this country, if you want to look for jobs, if you want to make friends outside of just internationals and expats, if you want to feel included in conversations when you're with people, learn Dutch, because people can speak English, but they prefer to speak Dutch. If you're coming here for a longer period of time, I would highly recommend getting started on learning Dutch. I will link the video that I made here for all the resources you need to teach yourself Dutch for free. So that could be a great starting point, and then you can maybe join a course here once you've arrived. That is something I think I wish I knew, was how Dutch will be a big part of my life. And I already started learning Dutch because I had to give an exam in India before coming here for my visa. So I still was kind of ready, but I wish I knew how much I would need it here to feel like this is my home. But yeah, that's my tip, learn Dutch. The next point is cycling in the Netherlands. Cycling is a big part of Dutch culture, and if you can't cycle, learn how to cycle because you will need it. And if you can cycle, cycling in Amsterdam and big cities is a whole another ball game. Like, I was shocked. I was called a kuturist the first time I cycled here because I didn't know what I was doing. And cycling here is very fast and furious. I compare cycling in Amsterdam to driving in India. Like, there are no rules, just don't kill each other, be fast, be mindful. And that is something I feel they should really teach in the integration exam here, and they don't, is how to cycle in city center. And that is something I wish I knew before moving here, that cycling here is vicious. No one wears a bike helmet. That is just bizarre. If you do, people will instantly know you're new or you're a tourist. You should have a shitty bike. If you have a really, really nice bike, it's almost guaranteed it's going to be stolen. So bikes being stolen here is a very, very big thing. So you need to have a not so good looking bike. You need to have two big bicycle chains, especially if you live in crowded areas or big cities. And after a while, your cycle feels like a part of you because cycling is the cheapest, fastest, and easiest way to get around the city. Public transport can get expensive and it is super, super slow compared to a bicycle. And I absolutely love the flexibility I have of just cycling anywhere by myself. And even if it's like 2 a.m. and you're in a club and you're going home, you don't have to wait for anybody else, and you just cycle home. And it is free. Once you buy your bike, all your travel is free. And plus, it keeps you active and healthy. I cycle, I think, on average 6 to 8 kilometers every day just as my commute. So I think it's one of the absolute best things about this country, and I take full advantage of it. So I would say, if you can't cycle, learn how to cycle. And when you get here, really get into the flow of cycling with the people here. And once you start yelling at tourists from your bicycle, you've integrated. And last but not the least is something I knew is about fashion in the Netherlands. Now, I know a lot of people might not care about this, but I work in fashion. I love fashion. It's my absolute favorite thing. And I wish I knew how fashion was not so relevant in the Netherlands. Now, there's something that I love about this fact here is that it's very democratic. So anywhere you go, you don't have to dress a certain way to be accepted, to get in, or if you go to a really nice restaurant, you don't really have to make any effort, or you don't have to wear certain things if you don't want to, which I love. If you go to a club, there are guys in shorts and like women in jeans. Be comfortable, wear whatever you want. And I think fashion should be that. It should be about who people are rather than what society expects them to be or what you have to show to society. So I love that. But being a fashion girly, I have to say, there's not a lot of creative outfits and street style here. A lot of people dress quite similar. So I think fashion here is a bit, again, about efficiency, about practicality. And I also kind of became like that a little bit because you have to be practical. If I ever buy any clothing, the first thought is, can I cycle in this? And if I can't cycle in something, I'm not buying it, because if I can't cycle in something, I'm not going to wear it because I'm on my bicycle every day. So I think when you shop, these things will really become something you think about. Cute shoes, forget about it, because if they don't work in rain, you might as well not buy them because it rains all the time. So there are these little things you will kind of have to keep in mind if you are into fashion, or even if you're not. When you're buying clothing, it'll be something you have to think about. And I love dressing for summer. I love my little summer outfits, but I can practically only use them 2 to 3 months out of the year. So I really had to build my winter wardrobe because I had nothing. I came from south of India. Our winter is 24 degrees Celsius. So I really had to build my winter wardrobe. And there's something you will have to really learn is how to layer, because as I said, weather is very unpredictable. So you will have to learn how to layer. So when you're going also from inside to outside, indoor spaces are heated. So when you go from indoors to outdoors, you'll need multiple layers to take on and off. So that is something I had to learn, and I still feel like I'm learning because I'm not used to it. But I think fashion here is very practical and plays a big part in how you fight the weather here. And if you're interested in fashion like me, it can be quite tough because you don't get to wear a lot of things you would want to wear just because they're not practical. Despite all of this, I absolutely love living here, and nothing beats like the quality of life here, the absolutely amazing green spaces and parks everywhere with ease of movement and access to public spaces. And I think it's a wonderful, wonderful country. Those are the things I wish I knew about the Netherlands before moving here. I hope this helps you in any way. If you like my video, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. I will keep making content about the Netherlands and sharing all my knowledge that I've gathered over the years. And let me know if there's anything specific you want me to make a video about. And I will see you next time. Bye. And maybe you can, maybe if you're from, this is why it's not acceptable. So obviously